Welcome back to Hardball. President Obama named a border czar and imposed financial sanctions on 3 Mexican drug cartels in advance of his meeting with Mexican President Felipe Calderon today. But can he do more to control the drug wars on the border? Tom Tancredo is a former Republican congressman from Colorado, and Democratic Congressman Charles Gonzales of Texas is a member of the Judiciary Committee and the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining us. First of all, Tom Tancredo, what happened at Chapel Hill the other day? Why were you shouted down, shut off, or what?
Yeah, sure. I didn't even get a chance to speak. I mean, the open-minded liberals, the First Amendment advocates at Chapel Hill would not allow me to speak. And it was the worst part about it, Chris, is it wasn't just a bunch of those goofball kids who oftentimes clamor around on campuses, but these were teachers and professors in that room who were egging them on, participating in them themselves. I mean, I can only imagine what goes on in those classrooms when the kids are in there alone with them. I mean, no wonder if Janet Napolitano wants to see extremists, if she's worried about extremists, have her take a look at the videos.
Well, those young students and young kids with those, they were badly instructed about rights in this country. They were badly taught. And the teachers involved in that escapade were bad teachers. That's my view. Let's argue the issue here now. What do you think's going on right now with this country? Are we to blame for the guns and the market for drugs that's causing the Mexican mayhem right now?
Well, we're certainly, I guarantee you that we have there's plenty of blame to go around, especially in terms of the drug usage in the United States of America. But to then go on to the next part and say, this is really our fault. It's the guns that are produced here and then shipped over there. We wouldn't have the problem if we didn't have the guns. Baloney. First of all, there are undeniably guns moving from north to south. I don't deny that. I'm just telling you it isn't anywhere near the numbers that we're talking about that are actually fueling the wars down there. And the kinds of guns. These guns are coming from a lot of places, including the Mexican military. Over 100,000 Mexican military have deserted in the last 7 years. They took their guns with them. A lot of these guns have ended up with the cartels. A lot of guns are coming from South and Central America. There are some from the United States. But if we really want to stop this, Chris, if honest to God, if there's a true concern about guns going south and drugs coming north, then militarize the darn border. That is what will stop both of those things from happening.
Okay, let me go to Congressman Gonzales of Texas. Sir, what is your view about the situation? Let's take it from where Secretary of State Hillary Clinton left us a couple of days ago, in fact, last week, where she said we deserve a lot of the blame because there's a huge market, probably the richest market in the world for just all kinds of drugs in this country. And also a lot of the guns come from up here, the automatic weapons especially, semi-automatics.
Well, first of all, Chris, you just had Tom DeLay and Governor Perry. I am also a Texan, so to all the viewers, we're very proud as Texans, but we also understand that we're part of a bigger picture. The bigger picture is referred to as the United States of America. So I want to leave the viewers with that thought. When it comes to this particular subject, the question is, are we the source of the problem? Well, of course not. We're part of a solution, and that's the way I think this administration is approaching this particular issue. What is it that we can do within our control on our side of the border to assist the Mexican authorities in controlling what's going on out there with the drug cartels?
Well, do you think Hillary Clinton, our Secretary of State, was right? Was she right?
Was she right? That part of the problem resides on our side of the border. I think even Tom agrees that we have an insatiable appetite for the drugs, and we do a very poor job of policing the use and distribution of drugs in the United States. We are the market. So, of course, that is fundamental. But also, as far as the weapons, there is no doubt that you have tremendous amounts of weapons and ammunition going from the north into the past the southern border. There are many things that we can do to assist the Mexican authorities. Why wouldn't we do that? It is in our own self-best interest.
Why has Mexico had such a hard time over 200 years or 300 years governing itself? Why can't it be a stable? It has the resources we do. It's on the same continent we're on. Why does it have such a terrible time being a modern government? Why does it always seem to have this tendency towards you never know when something's going to slip down there and you're going to have insurrection? I want to start with Tom Tancredo. Now, why doesn't Mexico work politically and economically? Why do they have to come up here for jobs? Yeah.
Okay. I think there's two problems that have plagued Mexico for a long, long time. I told this to President Fox when I met with him down there several years ago. It's got both a socialistic mentality, that is to say, it believes it should own Pemex, for instance, much like I guess Obama believes he should probably be able to run General Motors. But when you think about the fact that
Mexico
Mexico
didn't believe in that. Pre-believed that. PAN doesn't believe that.
Hey, they still own Pemex. They still own Pemex. And that's when you consider the fact that is the primary source of income in the country, they still have a socialistic mentality, and they still, unfortunately, this is a very difficult thing to say, but it's undeniably true. And as I say, I told this to President Fox, you've got this socialistic mentality, and you've got a corruption problem that runs from the cop on the beat to the highest level of government. And when you've got those two things in combination with each other, you can never have a viable economy. It's never going to happen.
Mr. Gonzales,
and you know what? I don't know what we can do about that.
Is that a fair assessment that they've got a problem with the ideology down there for history, all through their history, too socialistic, not free enough their economy, and a corrupt government? Is that a fair shot?
I think what Tom is describing is that somehow systemically they have a problem that can never be overcome. I do believe there are elements of what Tom is saying that would hold true, and I think the Mexican government needs to do a better job of making sure that there's opportunity within their own borders, and that is to do a better job with the economic riches that actually are there. If you look at natural resources, it is underutilized, and they do need to have a better approach about bringing in the United States or anybody else to assist them maximize the potential that they have. So I'm not going to argue that point. I think Mexico can do a much better job. The question is, how can we assist them? And right now we have a crisis, and I think we can be a great neighbor. And again, in time, this is really about our own self-interest.
Let me ask you, gentlemen, I think I have a different view on immigration than everybody in the world. I just think we ought to have a liberal policy towards immigration from the South, and we have a lot of need for workers. A lot of people down there want to come north, and they're good people, and that's a general rule. I think it's a general reality, but the question I have is, why can't we have a regular immigration policy where we know who comes in the country, they have an ID card, just like everybody else in this country, they got to be who they say they are, or they can't work and live here. Why doesn't any of the groups that support the rights of the people who come across the border fight for that? Why doesn't business insist on it? Why doesn't labor go along with it? Why don't we as a country go for some liberal enforced immigration policy that's legal? I don't know anybody who says they're for that, because everybody's afraid of ID cards, afraid of something else, afraid we won't have cheap labor. Mr. Tancredo, why don't we have ID cards in this country for people who live here and work here? What's wrong with that? I have to have one.
Well, what we do. We do have ID cards.
Doesn't Maryland give
sure.
out?
It's called the social.
Maryland gives out driver's license.
It's called the Social Security card.
But it's not.
It's called the Social
not a real
Security
card for most people. Come on.
Well, it should be. Why isn't it a good card? Why isn't it something that we can actually truly identify? It's fine with me. Make a Social Security card that is verifiable, hard to actually reproduce fraudulently. I'm all for it. And in terms of labor, let me tell you, every country has the right to determine who's coming into the country and for what purpose. And right now, Chris, it's hard for me to believe that we need, but it is difficult for me to believe that we need more workers. I keep looking every day at 10, 11, 12% unemployment rates. How many more workers do we need to take jobs that aren't there?
Well, the question, who's going to work at the jobs that are available? Let me go to Congressman Gonzales. Last question. Do you think we should have a verifiable ID card so a guy or a woman hiring somebody knows they're hiring somebody legally in this country? What's wrong with that?
Well, I don't know if you're espousing a national ID card, which I think fundamentally is going to be opposed by many Americans just on some principle about privacy, individual rights, and so on.
Yeah, well, as long as you oppose it, we're not getting anywhere.
Chris, no,
you're changing the subject.
Of course, you're going to have to have something that's verifiable for the employer to make sure that they don't occasion some sort of penalty for hiring someone that is not here legally. We're all for that kind of verification, so we need to get there.
How about,
thank you.
You are?
I've
Honest to goodness, now, no, wait a minute. He said they are. I'm really happy about this.
I think it's an accomplishment tonight. Let's leave it there while we all agree. Hey, look,
you bet,
moment of agreement.
E-verify.
Tom Tancredo, U.S. Congressman Charles Gonzales. Congressman Gonzales, I love your dad. He was a great guy. I worked with him for years on the Hill. Up next, I think, back 30 years ago. Up next, the Hardball Award goes to a very funny man